Hey, this is Gene. Just got back from a nice little walk this morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning here in North Alabama. Uh, I still feel somewhat the same as I felt after the game yesterday. Before I go into what I'm really here to talk about, and it's about Rashford again, I do want to congratulate the players because I think they did as well as they could do under the circumstances. They used the tactics that the manager wanted them to do. I didn't see any heads go down. I didn't see anybody down in tools. I think that we played as a team. I thought they fought for the manager. I thought there were other chances in the games that maybe we'd have got something out of the game. Clearly, when you look at the game, City had the better opportunities. They looked like a better focused team, and they're one of the best teams in the world. They may be the best team in the world, although I doubt that they are there correctly, let's say. The 115 charges are still looming over them. All the shit they've won the last 4 or 5 years may be gone, but on the field, they can play against anybody. There's only a couple teams in the world that could actually stand up with them. Liverpool, Arsenal, in this league, and maybe some other places, maybe Real Madrid on a good day for them, they can stick up with them. But we need to talk about Marcus Rashford. In my video I did, that nobody's watching, but that's fine. Maybe somebody will watch this one. It's weird. I did an unboxing of a Godzilla figure yesterday, and I got over 100 people watching it. But now, I'm not getting a whole lot of views right now when I'm talking about Manchester United, but I'm still going to talk about it because that's my passion. And if somebody watches my channel and they want to, want to have a discussion with me, that's great. That's what I'm here for. In my video I did a couple days ago, I said that Rashford is not world class. He has moments that you could look at as a world class, and he had that moment yesterday. It was something he didn't think about. It's kind of like, if you remember years ago, Rooney did the same thing. The referee was yelling at him or something like that, and he's talking to him, and all of a sudden the ball came to him, and he just crushed it, and then he went in there and he crushed it back into the net, and It's very similar to what Rashford did. All his frustrations, he let it go. He didn't even think about doing anything other than kicking the shit out of that ball, and the ball went to the back of the net. The rest of the game, although I think he's played a little bit better, he is so limited. And I talk about it in my video yesterday, is that he's lost so much of his pace that he has to think that he has to go down when he's fouled. Now, personally, I think it's a foul. I think that they call that every other place in the world when he pulls someone back. Kyle Walker put his hand on him while he's on. It wasn't at full tilt, but he was going pretty fast. And once you do that, that's a pullback, and it should have been a foul. Should have been a yellow. It probably should have been. And people are saying he's soft for going there. The reason why he's going down there, and Sam Peoples from United People's TV said he's soft for doing it. The thing is, you people they won't talk about the issue that the man has lost his space. He's lost his step. If he was Marcus from 3 or 4 years ago, he's past Kyle Walker. I can go back and look 4 or 5 years ago when he was against him, and every time he got behind him, Kyle Walker couldn't come up with him. He's lost so much in that. I don't know what that's from injuries from the past, putting more weight on. I mean, he's still 26. He shouldn't lose that much of pace. And you see that all the time with him now. When he ends up getting to a position, he did this also when he tried the ball down, and he knew that he couldn't do anything more, and he's going to get caught. It also happened against Fulham as well. He doesn't have the ability to get past players anymore. On some teams he can. If he has the first, if he has the step already, and the ball's over there, he could be in front of people. But he's not the player. He's not the player when he scored against Liverpool, when Martial sent it to him, when Ten Hag got his first game. He's not that fast anymore, and he had lost a step that year. Since he actually came into the league, I think he's lost probably 2. I think he's not the fastest player of the team anymore. I'm not sure that he ever was. I think that Luke Shaw was, but I don't. Oh, they're not going to come out and do. The Burrs back, and they want to put their little nests. I have to talk to him about that. So I think that confidence gets in his head. So he thinks, hey, I'm being pulled back a little bit. I'm just going to go down. Where 3 or 4 years ago, he would just he would have just went flying through it. He wouldn't have caught about it. He wouldn't even thought twice about it. But he's lost a step, and I think it's almost 2 steps for him. But if you looked at the first couple of years, just the amount of pace he had. I mean, people were talking about, they were comparing him to Mbappe. He's not, if they actually ran against each other, I think Mbappe in a 40, he's probably got 3 yards on him. In a 50-yard run, he's probably got 5 yards on him. I think the gulf of pace is lacking on him now. And people talk about how fast our counterattack is. We don't have, even Garnacho, I don't even know Garnacho's faster than Rashford. I don't think he is. I think he can do other things on the ball better than Rashford. People say, Gene, well, City just outplayed you. Yeah, they did. They played their style, and they hold on to the ball. This was a time that I remember Arsenal used to be that way. When we were really good, and they would have so much of the ball around the box and just moving around, and we'd just stop them from it, and we'd get them on the break, and we ended up winning the games. And we were a great team. We were one of the best teams in the world at that time. But we gave them their possessions, and we would end up winning these games. We just don't have the players to get behind them. And the thing is that City, when you actually threaten them like that, they do break down. People think, oh, they just continually what they do, and they do everything. If you have the ability to get behind them, you could definitely get them off kilter, and you can actually beat them. Now, are they the best team in the world? Probably. Are they going to win the treble again? I don't think so. I think that somebody is going to beat them in the FA Cup, hopefully, and I don't necessarily think they're going to the league. I'm at the position right now that I want Arsenal to win the league, which is crazy, but I want Arsenal to win the league, and I want somebody else to knock out City in the Champions League. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to get the finals, and we'll see. And they have the easiest way to get to the finals in the FA Cup as well. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens the last 10 games of the season. Is the Premiership going to continually bend over backwards for Liverpool to get Klopp either be there on that last day to have this whole thing, if he ends up winning, that he can go out as a champion? Because City has won everything else. They don't necessarily have to win the league again, because I'm sure they want to win another Champions League, and they're probably good enough to win it all. But I watched that game. Yeah, I was nervous throughout it, but I never thought they were going to score. I thought that we had done everything exactly how we're supposed to do it. And people were like, Gene, they dominated and it should. Yeah, they did, but it took a goal almost as good, maybe better than Marcus's to get it 1-1. And after that, yeah, they got through. They got through, got a decent shot on goal, and Onana didn't get the ball, didn't parry it. And the other one was just a mistake. You would definitely say on the balance of the game, based on how they play and all that stuff, of course, City deserved to win. But that's not, we didn't go in there with that idea. And like, Gene, you can't, this is not how Manchester United should play. And people don't understand that we played that way against Arsenal when we were really, really good. Arsenal or Chelsea, they would just dominate the game, and we would get them on the break. And we had this ability. We had Ronaldo, Rooney, Park, we had so much, and these guys roll fast. At least they had some pace, and some were world class type. Giggs is so much fat. People are like, Marcus is so fast. Right now, Giggs, when he was 40, is faster than Marcus. He is, and people got this idea he's so fucking fast. He's not. He has put so much weight on him. Again, I think I said that in my other video, is that I think he thought he was going to be the number 9. That he was going to be there competing with Martial, because Martial is always injured. So I think that, I don't know if it started under Ten Hag or under Ole, that said, hey, you need to fill up your upper body, and we might use you here. The problem, he's not good enough to play that position. Martial, he's not fast either. He's quick, and he's great with the ball at his feet. So he gets himself in positions that he's open then, right? He gets himself open. If you watch like football, you don't have to be that fast to get yourself into an open area. I mean, you could be fast, but you have to have good routes, and that's what Martial did with his feet. And once he got into a position, now he's cleared from the other guy, and then he could do something with the ball. And that's what Martial was at. He just always had injuries. and you have to question his motivation in some of these games. But early on in his career, Marcus was an elite, fast, pacey winger. He's not that anymore, and people have to understand this. So when we look at what the team's going to be next year, people say, "Gee, it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 7, 12, 5,000 years before we can compete with City." I don't believe that. I think if we have our 11 team, our best 11, and we don't have it yet. Okay, let me go what I think what's going to happen. What we have to do here. I think Delo is obviously going to stay here. We have to do something with Shaw. He's at that position now that I think that maybe it's time for him to go, and then you put Wan-Bissaka one side or the other, and that's going to be the starter right now until we find other people to come behind him. Maybe the guys are in the youth team or something like that, but that should be those. And Martinez, and for now, for another year, Varane. But you still have to get somebody else. Like we should have got. There's a Japanese dude we didn't get. Gene Mende, I can't say his name. We need to get a player like that, or maybe the dude that used to be at Ajax, and we were looking at him, 50 million type, right next to Martinez. That has to be that. That has to be the back four with Onana. Then we have to really do something in the midfield, and I think that maybe at this point, you have to say we're not going to win everything next year. I think Bruno has to go. I think that we have to cast in on him and get somebody else that's more like an Olgard or something like that type of player. And there's a couple players in Portugal that can probably meet that, or maybe there's some other people in the Premiership that can meet that position. That's going to be there 80%, 90% of the team, and play the type of style that Ten Hag wants to play. I don't think that Bruno is really set up for that. We have to find a replacement for Casemiro, but I think he can play another year. But we have to find another replacement for him. And Manu, I think that he needs to maybe. We're so lacking right now in midfield, but he's been found out a little bit the last couple of games. And the thing is, if he has all this ability to hold on to the ball, which he didn't really do it against City that much, but if he has that ability, he has to be able to do it all the time. And he has to have other players around him that have that type of ability as well, and we don't necessarily have that. But for right now, I don't think he's a number one. He shouldn't be a starter at this point. I think Mount has to have a chance in there. At some point, he has that. And then when you talk about your front four, we got 2 of the 3 already. We got to get rid of Rashford. So whatever we get for Rashford, 50, 60 million probably. Bruno probably 40 million. Shaw 40 million, I would think. I think Maguire has to stay. I think that Lindelof should stay as backups. And of course Maguire can play, but in order for us to play the position, if Ten Hag is going to stay, we have to find somebody that's somewhat mobile to sit and partner Martinez. Now we have to also understand that maybe Martinez is a guy that can't play in the Premiership and without getting hurt. We'll give him one more year, and if he continually gets hurt, then we got to find somebody else. I didn't have a big problem with the guy that came in. I thought he did okay. You can't really blame him for the goal, and maybe he can be somebody. I mean, he looks fit, he looks strong, got some pace. I think he could be there next to Martinez. I'm sure he'll be on the tour next year, regardless who's the manager at all. So, what am I saying here? I think if you can actually do this based on the structures of their own contracts, I would get rid of Shaw, because if Malacia can come back and actually play, if he could actually play, probably the only player that I'm saying to people we should actually leave, get rid of, that I'm probably hedging on, because when he's not injured, he is still one of the best at his position is Shaw. So, but for just say this for now. We'll keep if we can get everybody back in, get some other players in, and Shaw doesn't have to do so much. Maybe he doesn't get injured as much, but I think he's getting close to 30, and he's been around forever, and I think it's time for us to actually get past him. So if I said to keep Casemiro for one more season and get Varane one more season and Shaw, okay, we'll keep those 3. but we're going to be looking for their replacements, and they have to be, guys are 20, 30 million. The guys that have potential, if you're with the right team, that we can recruit better, like they do in other places, and they end up become 50, 60, 80, 90, $100 million players. We'll do that. So we got Delo, Varane, Martinez, and Shaw, basically what we already have. And I think that even though our stats are really bad in the defense this year, I think we can play well when we have the right players. In the midfield, we got to get rid of Bruno. Has to go. He's got to go. He does not fit the system that we have to play. Unless we're going to just be a team that just counterattacks and he has the ability then at that point to just ping the ball around the world stuff. If we're going to play Ole ball, then fine. But if we're going to be somebody that's be progressive and stuff, he's not a good player for that. He's not. We got to find somebody to partner, either somebody to replace Casemiro, or we get a player to replace for Bruno that's similar to, like I said, Olgodard or De Jong or something like that to play there that can just hold on to the ball, that you can't get the ball off of them. Those guys are players we need that can do that. And then Marcus has got to go. He's got to go. He's not the type of player that's going to buy into this type of system. I'm not going to say he's a flair player, or he's basically what's the word? Surplus to requirements. We've done so poor getting Anthony, Sancho to play on the right to help to keep Marcus to stay on the side that he wants to be on, and they have not done well. And that's unfortunate for Marcus, and it's hurt his game. But at the same time, he has a ceiling, and he's already set that. He's already been to that position. He's not there anymore. He's here. Whatever, great goal yesterday, whatever. But he's not. He would not start in any of the top 4 teams. Maybe he probably would for Aston Villa. So he's got to go, and there's money we can get from that. And then the other issue is the guys that are squad players. Do we get rid of Maguire and Lindelof? I think we have to keep them both until we get guys that are just clearly better than them. These guys can play, and they can be on the bench. I think most of them will stay at Manchester United. Lindelof did everything he could do yesterday. He did everything he could do, and all Foden did is just did a worldie right next to him. I mean, he did everything he could do. I mean, like, oh yeah, we got beat, and they're so much better in the Gulf. And it's not. You can't. We beat them last year at home. We did. And for a lot of that game, it was a 50-50 game on both sides. They had their best team. We had pretty much our best team. We were at home. It was a 50-50 game the entire game. We can play with them, but we're not as deep, and we don't have the great guys off the bench that can do anything at this point. So what you have to do, you can probably keep the same team for another year, but you have to backfill with players that are almost as good as the players that are starting. And you have to get the profile of players that you have to play the system that Ten Hag wants to play, or a progressive type of system, something that Liverpool plays, that City plays, that Arsenal plays. If that's what we're going to play, then you have, or even Brighton. If the issue is that Brighton holds on the ball against City. They can hold on the ball almost as long as City can against them. They have players that are not as valuable, cost as much, because they have the right system and the right type of players to play these systems. That's all you have to have. Once City gets to play against a team that actually hold on to the ball, they aren't the most powerful team on the earth. They're not leading the league. Liverpool is. Liverpool's won games that they shouldn't have won this year. And I think probably the best team in the world, the best team this year has been Arsenal so far. This is the last 11 games of the season. We'll see if they continually go on and get there or not. This is Arsenal, and they usually fell at the end. Or even Tottenham. Tottenham has gone to City and done really well on the ball and beaten them there. The idea that you can't play City, that the gulf of talent is so much, it's not. Not when you have your best team out there, and people have to have the motivation to play. Our biggest problem is that we do not do like those other teams do. We don't go into everything. We're not on people all the time. We're not pressing them. We're on them, on the entire time. Once we lose the ball, we go after and get it. This is what these teams do. We don't do it. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why we don't do that, but we just don't. Maybe we don't have the players to do it. So Marcus is not that type of player. He tried to press yesterday, and he did what he can do. We don't have players like Ander Herrera anymore. We don't have. You got Hoyland. He's going to do that. You think that Anthony, if his profile would just come out to what it should be, he would be fine there as well. But his confidence is just shot. He yesterday he got the ball and he's flying down the side and he's actually by the guy, and then he tracks back and loses it. He's got to continually go to that baseline and just go to it and then see if something happens. And McTominay was just horrible yesterday. He's not a player that should be starting. He should have to be coming off the bench. If you're going to put him in the game, say, oh, great false nine, and that's how we got ahead and all that stuff. All that happened is Bruno got the ball and just hit the ball over the stop, and Marcus was not really in, but he just passed it back to him and he put it in. So I don't know, man. I just when I look at them man to man and I say, can we play against these teams if they have the motivation and know how to play? I think that we could play against these guys if we have our players. I think with Martinez, Varane, Shaw, Dalot, Casemiro, a fit, on form, Eriksen, I would put him at this point, I put him in front of Bruno. Because people say he runs around, he does a lot of shit, but he doesn't defend. He does. He's up here and the ball, his guy's over here, and he runs back to get back to stop him doing it. I mean, the thing is that we have these huge gulfs. It's not so much against City. In games we have the ball, we try to do something with it. We have so much area between our defense and midfield. There's just huge amounts of open areas that they just fly right through. And there's no way that Manu or Casemiro or anybody can stop people from doing that, because the field is so big and you can't do it unless you want to. We're never going to a 4-4-2. So the game has changed so much that we don't have any real wingers in this game. If you're somewhat quicker, you can play up front. But anyway, I know I've been rambling again. The thing is simply this. Congratulations to City. You're not going to win the league. And we're going to beat you in the FA Cup final. It's going to happen. I'm calling it right now. We're going to have all our players back for the most part. And Mason Mount's going to come out and win the game at the end. But Marcus Rashford is not the same player that he was 3 years ago. For whatever reason that is. And the reason why he goes down the way he did yesterday, the way that he doesn't have the confidence to get behind players, is because he's lost his pace. And no pundit will ever talk about this. It's his pace, it's his pace, it's his pace. That's everything he has. If he doesn't have that, because he's just a little bit above average when it comes to technique, dribbling and stuff. He's not anywhere near like Giggs or anybody like that. He's just not. He's not Messi. He's none of those type of players. Every now and then he can get by people, but he doesn't have the IQ, the football IQ, to do anything with the ball. So when players like that lose their pace, I mean, even when you think of like Januzaj, he was good for about a year, and then the rest of the league kind of like catched up with him. He didn't have the amount of pace to do what he needed to do. Now, he can go and play in Belgium or in those leagues and do okay, but you can't do it in the Premiership because the defenders are just as fast as the forwards. So there was a time that Marcus had electric pace. He doesn't have it anymore. And that's all part of why his confidence is what it was. Gee, but he scored 30 goals last year. Yeah, some of those were playing the number 9. Some of those things were against teams that were so much better, and he got open, or he was on form. His confidence, scoring wise, was fine. And Sancho was giving him the ball, There were times that we actually played pretty well as a team last year. That game against Liverpool, we played pretty well. Against City that year, we played pretty well. There were times we actually looked like we were playing things. At Arsenal, we played really well. We lost the game, but we played pretty well. But yesterday, we couldn't do anything else. If our team was there and we had everybody there, it wouldn't have been 75-25. It'd have been probably 65-35 or 70 or 60-40 when it comes to the ball. But it could have been a 3-1 game regardless. Anyway, I'm going to stop. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you buy what I'm saying is that Marcus has lost his pace over the last 18, 24 months, and that's somewhat affecting his confidence, and that's why what he did yesterday, instead of just continually going as fast as he could and just shoving that off and then taking the ball into the box, he knew that he didn't have the pace, so he went down. That's my question I'm making. Thank you.